Hi everyone, Emily again here today, and today I kind of wanted to share with you my experience of how my depression, anxiety affects me and my alters in different ways. It's just something I was speaking about with Luke, my husband, the other day, and I thought it was quite interesting. I hadn't really put much thought into it before, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. So basically, I've been going through a little bit of a rough patch recently. My depression's been kind of hitting me a bit hard, and my anxiety seems to be getting a bit worse. I don't know if that's related, but that's been me. I've been struggling with it, and the problem that I find with depression is that it, for me personally, pushes my alters away. I know that's absolutely not the case for everybody, but for our system, the alters struggle to front when I'm going through a really tough time. That being said, we have had switches, and something that's been quite fascinating to me is the way that they respond differently. So, for example, we'll just get into the most interesting part. Peppa, when she's out, doesn't, from what I can tell, suffer with depression at all. She, she'll feel sad, or she'll feel down, or she'll feel stressed, but she does not have depression, to the same extent at all, like that we've noticed. So when she's out, she'll feel stressed. For example, when I feel very depressed, I find it very difficult to be motivated, so the house gets messier. Because, my husband works a lot, Nick works a lot, so it's kind of on me. I mean, I don't currently have a job besides this, so it's my responsibility to keep the house tidy. So when depression hits me and I'm finding it really difficult, the house gets messy. So that stressed her out, that stressed Pepper out, but she, instead of so my depression will let that bog me down, and then I'll feel bad because I haven't done it, and I'll see it as too much, it's not achievable, and sort of hide from it. Instead, Pepper sort of put together a list of things she could do to try and help, and was frustrated with the amount that there was to do, but not at anybody in particular, and again wasn't depressed or really that sad about it, and just sort of cracked on and started doing things. It's happened in the past where she's come out after I've been feeling really depressed, and just is completely different. She just reacts in a very different way. She's lovely, and she's hoping to do another video for you guys again soon. Again, just put it in the comments if you'd like to see her. But the other interesting side of things is Lucy. She does suffer with depression, but it's sort of different for her. It's hard to explain because, again, if you have multiple personalities in your mind, you can feel differences. I've talked in the past about how my alters feel different, like they're almost a different texture to me. I can almost feel it in my mind. Her depression, I would say, has a different texture. It feels very different. She gets upset about different things. So again, I find with my depression that I'll feel really, really low, and then try and find reasons for feeling that low, or certain things will upset me more than they usually would. But with Lucy, it's completely different things, and it just feels very different for her. It's sort of a long, empty, drawn-out kind of melancholy, and she doesn't feel it every day, but it is something that I can feel from her. So here's another way that it's interesting, is that when we switch, I think we've spoken about this in the past, when we switch, we can feel kind of like a residue of the person that was just fronting, and so I can feel kind of how people feel. Also, a big part of the system is the fact that we kind of feel each other's feelings, when they're big feelings, that is. So for example, when Peppa's out and she's feeling really, really happy, she's having a really good time, that sort of rubs off on all of us and we all feel pretty positive. So if I'm having a really depressed, awful time, I think that's probably why they sort of are not, they don't deliberately hide, but kind of move back more. And so, for example, when Lucy comes out and switches back with me, I can feel this different depression. I can feel this kind of melancholy, low energy sort of feeling. I just think that's very interesting because we are different people. You know, we've developed and matured over time, like fine wine or cheese. All of us have. So we have developed as completely separate people, and that comes with mental illnesses as well. For example, again, Lucy doesn't seem to have the anxiety that I do. Whereas I've been very nervous about even talking to long-term friends. It's come up out of nowhere. It's very irrational and very silly. She hasn't. She's not felt any kind of, you know, anxiety issues. And I don't think that's something that she's really had to deal with. I spoke to a couple of friends about this because I, again, was finding it quite fascinating. And one of the suggestions was that that is the purpose of alters. You know, they are there to help you deal with things with your life, and if depression is one of those things, they're there to help you deal with that. So you will have an alter who experiences depression, or you will have an alter that doesn't experience depression, so that when they're out, they're feeling positive, and that's a good, happy experience. It's a way of protecting you and keeping the mind as a whole healthy. I mean, that's just a theory that I've been discussing. I just find it really fascinating thinking about the ways that my alters interact, the way that we're different, and the similarities. I think Peppa and Lucy are the two key examples of differences in mental health. But then there's, for example, Felix, who you've now met. Well done, Felix. He gets, you know, very upset about, you know, as he explained, the fact that he's a male in my body. And there's not much he can do to change his presentation. So yeah, every single alter in my system seems to experience mental health differently. And I just thought that was very interesting to share. So I'll briefly talk a little bit about my mental health struggles, because when you see people sharing similar experiences, for me, I find it makes me feel a bit better. So that's why I'm going to be sharing these things. Obviously, it's a little bit difficult to share online, but again, I want people to feel that they're not alone in anything. So with my depression, I'm not 100% sure if it is just depression, but I have been feeling like sort of very messy in my head, very difficult to be motivated. That's been probably the biggest one, and sort of very just low continuously. I don't like being alone, because I try to avoid my feelings, so I just will procrastinate instead of doing something. But just sharing all of this and, you know, saying like, oh, I'm bad. I'm not going to do that. I'm countering it today and hopefully moving forwards, because I'm trying to, you know, keep fighting this. I have got a massive list of chores, of things that I could do, and some of them are really small things like drinking water. So I've got my bottle of water here, and the good thing about having such a big list for me is that it's not a list to get done today. It's not a list of do this or else you need to feel bad. It's a list of things so that before I can procrastinate because I look at the big picture and think everything's too messy, I look at the list and think I'll do this one thing. So I don't need to worry about the big picture. I'm just going to look at the little points and do one at a time. So that's been really helpful for me today. So I managed to get up out of bed and make the bed and all these kind of things, and they're things that don't really take too much time. So with that, breaking it down and also having this line through to say like, yes, you've done this, I find that quite motivating. So I can see this massive long list and loads of them are all crossed off, so I can be like, yeah, I'm doing something today. And for me, I find that really helps. Maybe that could for you too if you're struggling, or you can do a very small list and try and get like 3 or 4 things done. Again, some of them being very small, like just folding back the bed sheets in the morning, opening the curtains, because then you can tick them off and then you feel like you've done something good. Because when you're struggling with mental health, doing something as small as getting dressed is an achievement. So put that on your list. Put getting dressed, putting makeup on your list. If that's, you know, things that you want to do. I'm just, you know, telling you what I did. Because then you can, again, like I said, cross them off and then you've done it. And that will motivate you to then do the next thing. Also, I've been finding today. Or it could just be that I'm having a good day. So that's been me recently. It has been a bit of a rough patch. I've been having moments where I've been... I don't have an exact word for it. I made a video on it in the past, which I can link somewhere. The fantasy feeling real feeling. It's sort of a very derealization type feeling. So yeah, I did a little bit of research while I was in the moment, because I was trying to find if anybody feels the same as me, if anybody has this same experience, and I couldn't find anybody else that had the same experience. I'm not very good at finding stuff online sometimes, especially when I'm very emotional, and it just would have been nice to not feel so alone in that moment. But yeah, absorption was the closest I could find to a name for this feeling that I sometimes get. But again, it could just be derealization. So that's another thing that I've been struggling with. It's been a little bit of a rough time for me recently, but it's nothing that isn't gonna pass. You know, depression comes in waves, and it might stay for a while, and then it might go again. So don't worry if any of you are like, you know, are you okay? I'm completely fine. I've got people that love me around me, and I'm fighting back and, you know, doing these steps every single day now. So fingers crossed I'll hopefully hear back from the psycho team therapists. Hopefully hear back from them soon. But that'll probably do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you so much for subscribing as well. Like, I'm on 300 subscribers now, which is absolutely massive to me. So thank you so much. I really, really, really hope that you enjoy my content, that you liked this video, and I hope you have a really good day, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye, guys.